I was a U.S. Air Force pilot, and I had flown countless missions in my career. But nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to face. I had been tasked with a mission to rid a deep forest of a strange creature that had been terrorizing the area. The locals had dubbed it Bigfoot, but I didn't believe in such things. I was convinced that it was just some sort of wild animal that had been misidentified. I flew my F-16 fighter jet toward the forest, scanning the area for any signs of the creature. It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining and the sky was clear. But as I got closer to the forest, I felt a chill run down my spine. There was something strange about this place, something eerie. I landed my plane on a makeshift runway and stepped out onto the tarmac. I could feel the heat of the sun on my skin, but the forest loomed before me like a dark, foreboding presence. I grabbed my rifle and set off into the woods, determined to complete my mission. As I walked deeper into the forest, the trees grew thicker and the light began to fade. I could hear the sound of rustling leaves and twigs snapping underfoot, but I couldn't see anything. Suddenly, I heard a loud growl and my heart began to race. I raised my rifle and scanned the area, but I couldn't see anything. Then, out of nowhere, a huge creature emerged from the trees. It stood at least 8 feet tall, with matted fur and glowing red eyes. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was Bigfoot, the creature I had been sent to eliminate. I aimed my rifle at the creature, but it didn't seem to be afraid of me. In fact, it seemed almost amused by my presence. It let out a deep guttural laugh and I felt a shiver run down my spine. I fired my rifle, but the creature was too quick. It darted out of the way and I heard the bullet ricochet off a nearby tree. I took a step back, unsure of what to do next. I had never encountered anything like this before. The creature took a step forward and I could feel its hot breath on my face. I raised my rifle again, but the creature swatted it out of my hands before I could fire. It landed in the underbrush and I was left defenseless. The creature let out another laugh and I realized that it was toying with me. It didn't want to kill me, at least not yet. I knew that I needed to get out of there, but I was paralyzed with fear. Suddenly I heard a loud explosion and the ground shook beneath my feet. I turned around and saw that my F-16 had been destroyed. It was nothing but a smoldering pile of rubble. I realized that I was stranded in the forest with no way to call for backup. The creature took another step forward and I knew that I was in trouble. But then I heard a voice calling out to me. It was a group of locals who had been searching for the creature for years. They had seen my jet go down and had come to investigate. They fired their rifles at the creature, distracting it long enough for me to grab my rifle and fire off a few shots of my own. The creature roared in pain and then vanished into the trees. I collapsed onto the ground, exhausted and shaken. The locals helped me to my feet and we made our way back to civilization. I knew that I had come close to death that day, but I also knew that I had learned something important. There are things in this world that we cannot explain, things that are beyond our understanding, and sometimes it's better to leave them be. Over the next few days, I tried to process what had happened in the forest. I had always been a skeptic, but now I wasn't so sure. Had I really encountered Bigfoot, or was it just my imagination playing tricks on me? I decided to do some research on the creature, and I was surprised by what I found. There were countless sightings of Bigfoot all over the world, from the dense forests of North America to the remote mountains of Asia. People had been reporting sightings of the creature for centuries, but no one had ever been able to capture it or prove its existence. As I dug deeper, I discovered that there were many theories about what Bigfoot could be. Some people believed that it was a surviving species of ape, while others thought it was some sort of undiscovered primate. Still, others believed that it was a supernatural being, a creature that existed between worlds. I realized that I would never know for sure what I had encountered in the forest. But one thing was certain: there were things in this world that we cannot explain, things that are beyond our understanding, and sometimes it's better to leave them be. In the end, I left the Air Force and started a new career as a wilderness guide. I spent my days exploring the forests and mountains of the world, searching for adventure and discovery, but I never forgot about my encounter with Bigfoot. It had taught me a valuable lesson about the mysteries of the world and the importance of respecting the unknown. As I sit here now, surrounded by the beauty of nature, I can't help but wonder what other secrets this world holds. What other mysteries are waiting to be discovered? And what other creatures are lurking in the shadows just waiting for us to stumble upon them? One thing is for sure. I will always approach the unknown with caution and respect, because sometimes it's better to leave things be. I remember the night like it was yesterday. I was a U.S. Air Force soldier stationed at a remote base in the middle of the desert. I had just finished my shift and was walking back to my barracks when I saw something that would change my life forever. It was a bright light in the sky unlike anything I had ever seen before. It was pulsing and changing colors, almost like it was alive. At first, I thought it was some sort of military exercise, but as it got closer, I realized that it was something else entirely. The light descended from the sky and landed on the ground a few hundred yards away from where I was standing. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I watched in awe and fear. What was this thing, and what was I supposed to do now? I radioed into the base and reported what I had seen. Within minutes, a team of soldiers arrived, armed and ready to investigate. We made our way cautiously towards the object, not knowing what to expect. As we got closer, I could see that the object was a disc-shaped craft, about the size of a large car. It was hovering just above the ground, and I could see strange symbols and markings etched into its surface. Suddenly, a door on the side of the craft opened, and a figure emerged. It was humanoid in shape, but its skin was a pale gray color, and its eyes were large and black. I froze in terror as it approached us, seemingly unafraid. The figure communicated with us telepathically, telling us that it was from another planet and had come in peace. It said that it wanted to learn about our world and share its knowledge with us. I was skeptical at first, but as the conversation went on, I began to believe that the figure was telling the truth. It spoke about advanced technology and ways of thinking that were beyond our comprehension. But then, just as quickly as it had arrived, the figure and the craft disappeared into the sky, leaving us all standing there, stunned and confused. Over the next few days, the incident was classified as top secret, and we were all sworn to secrecy. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed inside me. I had seen something that most people could only dream of, and it had opened my eyes to a whole new world of possibilities. I began to research UFO sightings and alien encounters, trying to find answers to the questions that had been swirling around in my head since that night. I read books and articles, watched documentaries and interviews, trying to piece together the truth about what was really out there. And what I found shocked me. There were countless sightings of UFOs and encounters with alien beings all over the world. People from all walks of life had reported seeing strange lights in the sky, mysterious craft, and beings that were not of this world. But despite all the evidence, most people still refused to believe that we were not alone in the universe. They dismissed the sightings as hoaxes or misidentifications, refusing to open their minds to the possibility that there could be something more out there. But for me, there was no denying what I had seen that night. It had changed me, and I knew that I would never be the same again. As I go deeper into the world of UFOs and alien encounters, I came across a group of people who shared my passion for the truth. We called ourselves the Seekers, and we were dedicated to uncovering the mysteries of the universe. We met regularly, sharing stories and theories, and trying to make sense of the seemingly inexplicable. Some of us had seen UFOs, while others had had encounters with strange beings, but we all shared a common goal: to learn as much as we could about what lay beyond our world. One night, as we sat around a campfire, swapping stories and sipping on beers, something strange happened. We saw a bright light in the sky, just like the one I had seen years before. We watched in awe as the light descended towards us, and we could hear a low humming sound growing louder and louder. As the craft landed in front of us, we all jumped to our feet, unsure of what to expect. But this time it was different. The figure that emerged from the craft was not a gray-skinned alien, but a human-looking being with blonde hair and piercing blue eyes. He introduced himself as a representative of a group of extraterrestrial beings who were watching over our planet. He told us that they had been observing us for centuries, waiting for the right moment to make contact. He said that we were on the brink of a great awakening, and that they were here to guide us through the transition. As he spoke, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. It was as if all my questions had finally been answered, and I could see the world in a whole new light. But then, just like before, the craft and the figure disappeared into the night sky, leaving us all standing there, amazed and bewildered. After that night, I became even more determined to uncover the truth about what lay beyond our world. I devoted myself to researching and investigating every UFO sighting and alien encounter I could find. And over time, I began to uncover a pattern. It seemed that the extraterrestrial beings were trying to communicate with us, to help us evolve and grow. But most of us were too closed-minded to listen. I knew that I had to do something to change that. I started writing and speaking publicly about my experiences, hoping to open people's minds to the possibilities of what lay beyond our world. And slowly but surely, I began to see a shift. People were becoming more open to the idea that we were not alone in the universe. They were starting to ask questions and seek answers. And as I looked up at the night sky, I felt a sense of hope. I knew that there was still so much to learn and discover, but I was ready for whatever lay ahead. Now, years later, I still think about that night and wonder what other secrets the universe holds. I may never have all the answers, but I will always be open to the possibility that there is more to this world than meets the eye. For me, the strange light that I saw years ago was just the beginning of a journey that would change my life forever. And I knew that the journey was far from over. I never believed in the paranormal. As an Air Force pilot, I had always been a practical, no-nonsense kind of guy. But that all changed when I was sent on a mission to Iraq. It was a routine mission, or so I thought. We were tasked with providing air support to ground troops in a remote area of the country. But as we flew over the desert, something strange caught my eye. At first, I thought it was a mirage, a trick of the light. But as we got closer, I could see that it was real. A massive dark cloud was forming on the horizon, swirling and pulsing with an eerie energy. I called it into my superiors, but they dismissed it as a sandstorm. But I knew it was something more. As we flew closer, I could feel a sense of unease creeping over me. It was as if the cloud was alive and it was watching us. Suddenly, our instruments started malfunctioning. Our communication systems went dead and we lost all contact with the ground. I could see my fellow pilots struggling to regain control of their planes, but it was no use. And then, the cloud descended upon us. It was like nothing I had ever seen before. It was as if the very fabric of reality was being torn apart, and I could see glimpses of otherworldly beings moving within the storm. I could hear their voices, speaking in a language that I could not understand, but I could feel their presence, and it was overwhelming. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, it was over. The cloud dissipated, and we were left alone in the desert, shaken and bewildered. When we returned to base, I tried to report what had happened, but nobody believed me. They dismissed it as a hallucination, a result of the stress of the mission. But I knew that what I had seen was real, and I knew that I had to find answers. I began to research the paranormal, scouring books and articles for any information that could shed light on what I had experienced. And slowly but surely, I began to uncover a whole world of strange phenomena that I had never even known existed. I discovered that there were people all over the world who had encountered strange beings and experienced supernatural events, and I realized that I was not alone. But as I delved deeper into the world of the paranormal, I realized that there were darker forces at work. I encountered beings that were not of this world, entities that were beyond human comprehension. and I knew that I had to do something to stop them. I started working with a group of like-minded individuals, people who had also had encounters with the paranormal. We called ourselves the Watchers, and we were dedicated to protecting humanity from the forces that lurked in the shadows. We worked tirelessly, investigating sightings and tracking down leads, and over time we began to uncover a pattern. It seemed that the forces of darkness were growing stronger and that they were preparing for something big. And then one night, it happened. A portal opened in the sky and a horde of otherworldly beings poured through. They were unlike anything I had ever seen before, twisted and grotesque creatures that seemed to revel in chaos and destruction, but we were ready for them. The Watchers had prepared for this moment, and we fought back with everything we had. It was a brutal, terrifying battle, but we emerged victorious. And as I looked out at the stars that night, I knew that the fight was far from over. The forces of darkness were still out there waiting for their next opportunity to strike, but I also knew that we were not alone. The Watchers were out there, and we were ready to face whatever came our way. We had a newfound sense of purpose, a dedication to protecting humanity from the unknown. As for me, I was no longer the same person I had been before that mission in Iraq. I had seen things that could not be explained, and I had fought against forces that were beyond human understanding. But I had also found a sense of community, a group of people who shared my passion for the paranormal and my dedication to keeping the world safe. In the years that followed, the Watchers continued to investigate and fight against supernatural threats. We encountered everything from ghosts to demons to creatures that defied description, but we never backed down. We always stood ready to protect humanity, to face whatever came our way. And as for that mission in Iraq, it remained a turning point in my life. It was the moment when I realized that there was more to the world than what met the eye, and that there were forces out there that we could not even begin to comprehend. But it was also the moment when I discovered that I was not alone, that there were others like me who had seen the things that went bump in the night and who were determined to make a difference. And so I continued to fly missions for the Air Force, but I also continued to work with the Watchers. It was a delicate balance, but I knew that it was the only way to keep the world safe from the unknown. And as I soared through the skies, I knew that I was part of something bigger than myself. I was part of a community, a group of people who were dedicated to protecting humanity from the things that lurked in the shadows. And no matter what came our way, I knew that we would always be ready to face it, together,